We're in Florida with Brian Humphrey, the Public Information Officer for the Los Angeles Fire Department. Hello, sir.
Pleasure to be with you.
So we've been here talking to the Red Cross about how technology is changing the ways that government communicates with citizens and citizens communicate with government. How have you seen that change during your tenure at the Los Angeles Fire Department?
Well, we've seen an increasing use of social media, in particular listening tools, we like to call them. At first we thought they were new dissemination tools, such as group emailing, social media, short message service, things like Twitter and Facebook. The truth is, since about 2007, we've had greater luck listening with these devices rather than just disseminating. We found that these multi-tools, so to speak, have allowed us greater reach, not only to be on top of the mountain and speak to a larger audience, but actually on top of that mountain to cup our hand to our ear and hear over a far greater area more clearly than we ever had before.
So when you're listening, what are you listening for, and how are you hearing it?
People expect to have a real-time Los Angeles Fire Department and real-time responsive to their needs. So we monitor a variety of social media. We use typical search tools off the shelf. We don't have a large budget or a large staff. So between the typical free tools that we have access to, we're able to monitor such popular services as Twitter, Facebook, and other sites to see what people are commenting on, what concerns them, or what their impression is of a particular emergency incident.
And if someone sends out one tweet about a fire, do you pay attention to it versus more? How do you actually focus information?
Early on, we learned that we had to make it very clear that we can't send responders, that is, to a report via social media. We don't know the way people do. They say the word help, 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 I'm trapped, and it turns out that their car is blocked in the parking lot. So the context is difficult. So we made it very clear by social media that we're not going to be sending actual responders. But as we monitor these tools, we begin to aggregate information, Boolean searches, so putting together phrases. If somebody says help, hurt, OMG, or sadly OMFG, as people will do in the modern vernacular. And if we see enough of those types of things come up with the word explosion, fire, help, ambulance, hurt, whatever the case may be, we're able to aggregate that data and really draw down to see exactly what's happening. I had that happen in Toronto not long ago. There was an emergency on a subway, and from more than 2,000 miles away, we were able to note that there were suddenly 8 people collapsed in the subway. We knew about it before the local Toronto officials did. So when you utilize these tools in a careful yet crafty manner, you do get an increased situational awareness brought forth by the wisdom of crowds with all of those strengths and weaknesses.
One of the challenges for government, for media, for citizens, certainly for first responders, is telling truth from fiction, what can be verified there or not. What are some of the ways that you're seeing technology help you do that?
Well, it's great you should mention that. One of the things we're seeing many times now, people are attaching photos to their Facebook or to their Twitter account. And what we're utilizing is free online tools to check the EXIF, the EXIF data that's attached to photos. We're not experts in determining Photoshop. If we see something altered, obviously the shadow's falling to the wrong side or something, we could question it. If we get enough photos from enough people, it likely has some credence. Now, do we stake the reputation of our agency or lives on the line? We can't do that. But it gives us some idea. Where we get a single photo, we may save the image and actually look at the data and sometimes find that these are recycled images. What really drew our attention was the situation in Mumbai with the terrorist attacks there, where there was the media circularity. Make that new media circularity. We've had this in the past with the traditional media, where they would report what another station or newspaper was reporting and never quite getting their own facts. And we saw where things were being retweeted or posted to Facebook hours or days after they'd happened as if they were brand new. So we're eager to find out the genesis of these things, to trace them down to their roots, and to get a better timeline and a better geospatial focus of where these things are taking place, when and how.
Now, it's fun to talk about the social tools. You and I both participate there, but there's lots of other ways that you're using technology to communicate with citizens and to have, in turn, them communicate with you. What are some of the tools that the Los Angeles Fire Department, which is at LAFD on Twitter, for people who do want to follow, are using now?
Interestingly enough, we saw with Twitter that many people wanted to get hard news, but some other people wanted to converse with us. And the one thing we didn't want to do was have a problem with the signal-to-noise ratio. Speaking of that, we're right by the airport here, so you can hear a plane. Yep. So we bifurcated our Twitter system into an account at LAFD, and another one called at LAFD Talk. Many people who get our hard news at LAFD set their phones to chime or ring when a message comes in because it's hard news, an event, an issue, something that requires awareness or action. On the other side, we moved LAFD Talk to where our conversation or inquiries can take place regarding our agency. It has worked very, very well for us in improving the signal-to-noise ratio. public expectation. They're glad we're not chatty at LAFD.
And you mentioned earlier today that you're creating media as well, not just listening or putting out announcements, but creating audio broadcasts in different platforms?
Well, we find that strength that's often overlooked is audio. We've had great luck with Blog Talk Radio as well as Cinch. The Cinchcast system, part of the Blog Talk Radio network, allows us to record audio, and audio allows us to share tonality. Clear information. For example, such as a wildfire, we want people to take action without needing to be glued to a monitor to read things. So we find that distributing some of this information by audio, by these tools, is important. Of course, we're also using video tools, things like Ustream and others, to do live broadcasts. In fact, we even have a camera inside of our command center. You can watch the PIO work a major incident behind the scenes, see exactly what's happening, watch them take the news calls. And so we're trying to be more transparent, more open, but also create back-channel feedback so people can offer information to us in real time in chat streams while something's happening.
So this, you said that the magic word is transparency in terms of a lot of the emphasis in government, that's from the federal level all the way down. So idea of open government. What are the limits to that? Obviously, there's real issues around privacy and of victims, et cetera, especially with some of the issues that the fire department deals with.
The limits are being established as we speak. There are federal laws, of course, the HIPAA law as relates to healthcare information privacy, and we have to respect those from a fire department standpoint. We offer no personally identifiable information for discrete medical emergencies. But much of what we go on is very public. A traffic collision is a public event, so to speak, so is a large fire. And without offering personally identifiable information, we're able to convey the severity of what has happened or what hasn't happened. So we're very eager to use these tools in a timely fashion, to be proactive, to get ahead of the questions that people may have. And we find we don't need to traipse into these areas of privacy or concern. With transparency comes trust and a relationship.
You've been out a bit ahead in the curve in adopting some of these tools, and with respect to the first responder community, which has been beneficial, I think, to a lot of people in terms of understanding what's worked and what hasn't. Separating the two channels, for instance, is a good example of a best practice there. What are the next generation of tools that you're looking at as a potential thing that you can actually use for the fire department, and how will they impact service delivery for citizens?
All of our media messaging, whether it's traditional or new media, focuses on three things. What's happening? What are you, the fire department, doing about it? But most important, the foundation, what does it mean to me, the constituent? And focusing on what it means to me is the core focus of everything we're doing. We're trying to get the information to people in a timely fashion. We realize that geolocation oftentimes will determine how the message is sent. That much said, we're looking at such tools as Foursquare, Gowalla, and other sites where people check in, seemingly casually, but it could affect the fest. If there's an explosion near a bar where they've checked in, at a concert where there's a rave, or at the airport, for example, where we track people who are checking in and out on social media, we can not only provide them with location-specific safety information, but more importantly, we can audit them or check with them and ask them for information. It's a gathering tool. 70% of what we do in social media at the LAFD is gathering, is listening, is understanding. We had a rave not long ago. We had only one death, less than in previous raves, 100,000 attendees. We stayed up throughout the night utilizing Twitter and Facebook and hashtags and other tools to make sure the people at the rave, we got great feedback from the rave people that hosted the event, saying that we were more engaged than any other public safety agency they've encountered across the country. We like that. We'd like to be where people are at. We're not trying to infantilize people. We're not trying to get in their business, but we just want to let them know we're there. Like a town hall meeting, they can turn to us when they have a question, when they have a need, with the sole exception at this time of emergency response. We can't guarantee it, so we're not encouraging people to request emergency response.
What are the things that you would like the public to know about how they can help the fire department using these tools?
The most important thing is to engage the fire department or relief organizations such as the American Red Cross that we've been with today in advance of a crisis. Understand what they're about. Understand the hub and spoke system. You may interact with the Los Angeles Fire Department only on Facebook or on Twitter, but they probably have another presence. For example, our news and information blog that goes into greater detail not only about what we're doing, but about the people behind our social media. So dig just a little deeper with your public safety agencies, know who they are, what they're doing, and what their motivations are. Our motivation in social media is very simple. It's to help people lead safer, healthier, and more productive lives.
Thank you, Mr. Humphrey.